Hello, my name's Judy Bowen. Now I want to talk to you about doing EFT without using the face points. Before I do, I want to say this, I still use them. But before I do, I use extreme hand hygiene, a really thorough clean. Now that's not always going to be possible for everyone in every situation. And even when it is, not everyone's going to feel confident to use the tapping on their faces. So I think we need to have other options to cover both of those categories. So where do we start? Well, we start with the crown of the head. The crown of the head was not part of the original EFT sequence. It came in some years later. It covers half the meridians in the body. It has a Chinese name, which means either it's a metaphor, so it depends how you translate it. It's either 100 meeting places or 1,000 meeting places, because it covers so many of the meridians. So you either start with it or you finish with it. I like to start with it. And that is a really good start to tapping without tapping on the face. So what does that leave us? We'll skip the face and then we get down to the collarbone point, the junction of the collarbone, the first rib and the breastbone. And you can find it by, if you don't know where it is, you can find it by tracing around under the collarbone with your fingers until you find the point where these three bones are meeting up. You can find a little dip, and that's the collarbone point. The other one that we still have when we do this is the underarm point. The underarm point is the point. If you imagine you have a zip down the side of the body, it's on that zip. It's for most women, it's slightly under the bra. But the real way to identify it is by its sensitivity. It's either a bit sensitive, very sensitive, or ouch. And on a lot of people, it is really quite painful. But it will be somewhere along that continuum. You will feel more discomfort tapping when you've got the right point than you will slightly above it or slightly below it. So that's another really powerful point. Now, going back to the original form of EFT, where the face points stayed and the finger points went, and we're now saying because they were redundant, we didn't need the whole sequence. We realized that. Let's say make the face redundant and reinstate the fingers. So what does that give us? So it gives us the side of the hand point, this fleshy point between the wrist bone and the little finger knuckle. And I like to use 2 or 3 fingers on that. I think it's on that really nice cushiony part. And that's a great point for my mind. I mean, you can, when things are going badly, when you're in a meeting and you can get your hands under the desk and tap on something. It's also a point that I found really useful when I was working as a therapist for just getting clients to tap while they were talking to me. So that is probably my favorite point, if one is allowed to have favorite points. The karate chop. It used to be called the karate chop. Sorry, it's now called the side of the hand. We also have the finger points. These were part of the original sequence. Now this is the first point is on these are at the base of the nail. So on the base of the thumbnail, fingers across that base, the next finger, the middle finger. The ring finger is a bit different. There is no actual point at the base of the ring finger on that side. There is on the other side. Some people just leave it in for simplicity. Some people skip it. There may be some contraindication for pregnancy. So if you're pregnant, just skip it. Then there's the little finger, and then you're back to the side of the hand point. My favorite point. The next point after that in the very original sequence was the gamut point. Now, I love the gamut point. Not necessarily as part of the original sequence, but as a thing of itself. In fact, as part of the original sequence, because of the gamut sequence, it was one of the things that made it quite hard to introduce EFT to people who didn't come an EFT route into my practice, but came thinking I was a perfectly normal therapist, and who were a bit shocked when I said to them, now, there's this point, the gamut point, It's between the little finger joint and the next finger joint. You just go down into that dip between them and tap it or rub it. And what I want you to do is this. I want you to open your eyes, close your eyes, open them, look down hard left, look down hard right. Don't move your head, just your eyes. Roll your eyes in one direction, roll them in the other. Hum a few bars of something. Don't sing because that'll be left-brained. We want to stay right-brained on this. Then count to 5, that's the left brain bit. Then hums a few more bars. Now, it was at that point that you tended to lose people. And I think probably most of us at that time were quite glad to lose it as part of the normal tapping sequence. Over the years, I've come to really appreciate it in other ways. That it is bilateral stimulation. And that bilateral stimulation is crucial for dealing with trauma. It's one of the things that EFT and EMDR have in common when EFT includes the gamut point. Bilateral stimulation is just so crucial to the way we treat trauma and many other things. So I think it is high time that it had a reintroduction, although I certainly wouldn't have chosen its situation for it to be needed to be reintroduced. But don't underestimate it. It's a really useful tool. So what else do we have? We have the thymus thump, a thump in the middle of the chest, one of the best quick anxiety stoppers. How do I know that? Because Gary Craig told me, and a number of other people at the time, that when his daughter was married and he had to walk her down the aisle and he was extremely nervous, he walked down the aisle doing the thymus thump. So that is another really, and in this time of high anxiety, what do we need more than a quick way to deal with anxiety? So those are some of the options. Now, what I want to ask you to do, or what I want to suggest that you do, is that you do a quick body scan. Just have a look through your body and see what it is that you're feeling. And I don't mean analyze it and give it a left-brained label like anxiety or fear or whatever. You can, if that pops up, do, but don't go looking for it. Go looking for the physical sensations you feel. Do you feel a fluttering in your chest? Do you feel a dark, heavy ball in the pit of your stomach? And use that as the starting point for your tapping. Even though I have this fluttery feeling in my chest, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this fluttery feeling in my chest. Sorry, I should have said before you do that, calibrate 1 to 10. Even though I have this fluttery feeling in my chest. Now, when you've done that and done whatever tapping points you're choosing to use, then recalibrate. And at this point, you either say, even though I still have some of, or you might find that it's transmuted into something else. Might now be a heavy ball in your stomach if it was fluttering in your chest, or vice versa, or something quite different. And do another round, either of I still have some of, or with this new description. I think that's one of the really useful ways to use EFT at this point. Whatever you do, use your EFT. It doesn't matter if it's incorrect. There is no such thing as incorrect. It can be either side of the body. Any tapping you do on meridians will be helpful. You're not passing an exam here. You are doing what's useful for you. It doesn't matter whether it's correct. It doesn't matter whether it makes any kind of logical sense. If you follow what you feel needs doing, then that's going to be probably a quite useful, intuitive thing for you to be doing. Stay safe. Keep tapping. Stay well.